Welcome to Beyond the Hustle, the podcast where real stories live. We go beyond the highlight reels and bring you bold, raw, and revealing conversations with entrepreneurs who have hit rock bottom and come back up again. Because you see, behind every successful business lies a story of risk, resilience, and sometimes real failure. This is where we unpack the missteps, the missed chances, the mess-ups that became powerful lessons and stories of success. So if you are looking to build something big, if you are dreaming of setting up a business, or just tired of faking it till you make it, this is your space and this is your show. Here we have real founders, real failures, and real fuel for your journey. Come on, let's go beyond the hustle. Hello and welcome once again to another exciting, informative episode of Beyond the Hustle, where we go behind the scenes and talk to entrepreneurs, have a conversation, share their stories. Our hope is that once we are done, you will learn something, you will be inspired to keep going, and you would pick up from their mistakes so you don't have to repeat them. Today, I have a very important guest in the house, and I'll let her introduce herself, but I know her by the name of I was going to say something, but let me add Lawrencia Bazal Darko, Esquire. And you're welcome to Beyond the Hustle.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Can you introduce yourself? Tell us who you are and what you're doing. If you can share your entrepreneurial journey, it would also be interesting to know.
You've already mentioned my name, so I'll go straight to the point. I'm a lawyer and a photographer, and I own a photography business which specializes mostly in capturing life's family milestones, the key life milestones. We don't want them to pass by, so we specialize in documenting them for families. And a wife and a mother to 3 amazing children. And aside that, I'm a lawyer. This is my 13th year at the Ghana Bar.
Wow. A lawyer doing business. When did the turn happen? It's quite rare to find lawyers. I mean, people of the book, as you call them yourself, your learned colleagues. It is a lot more legal. Even if it's a business, they will tend to do a lot more legal related business. How did you turn to photography?
I would say photography in particular, even though I've played around with other businesses, photography in particular was an avenue to let out my creativity. I've always been a very creative person, right from when I can't remember when it started, but I've always had some form of art in my life. I've even done makeup artistry. I have done painting and all that. So I think I got to a point in my life where I felt I needed an outlet for my creativity. I love children, so it was a good blend for me. So my business started mainly focusing on photographing children, but it has grown way beyond that, thanks to God.
When you start a business, and I know this because I've started many, a lot of the time it starts like a hustle. Like, I'm just doing this gig to make some extra cash or to, add on to what I'm doing. And at what point did you realize that the Bazal Studios, art studios, is more than just a hustle? It can be a business. It can be something that you can do long term to make you, because I know for a fact that you left law and you are doing this full time. So at what point did what made you come to the realization that this thing can go beyond just a hustle and it can be a business?
I think, as you said, when I started, I should have had that mindset from the beginning, but I didn't. When I started, it was mainly like a hobby. I enjoy doing this and it brings me some extra money in addition to my salary. But then at a point, I realized the impact the business was making in people's lives. The fact that the kind of people in the society who wanted to patronize our services, and the kind of feedback we were getting from the families that patronized us. And we realized that when you sit down and look at the business that we do, even if you are limiting it to family, you may think that family is such a restrictive niche, but there are so many avenues within the family that we could build products around. And so I think that was when it dawned on us, when we started realizing the impact the business was making, aside the fact that it was giving us some extra pocket money. That was when we started to put in the measures to actually build the business, to continue the impact that
for every
making.
entrepreneur, there comes that one day that you sit and you're like, Charlie, is this worth it? I mean, should I just go back to my 9 to 5? I mean, what am I getting myself? Has that happened to you?
I think,
and what made you?
I want to correct a point you made. You said there's this one day. It's not one day.
Many days.
Many days. There are many days that you wake up, or even before you go to bed, you are like, oh God, the stress. I remember a few days ago I was on holiday, and when I was coming back, I put on my status, God, I'm going back to stress. And then my whole team was laughing. It can be so stressful, and there are days when you just want to stop. But when you think of the impact that you are making and the fulfillment that you derive from that impact, then it keeps you going. And then if you also realize the potential, the scalability of the business, then you don't want to give up.
Yeah. I keep saying on the show that one of the reasons I'm doing this is to help people to understand that failure is not the end of everything. I mean, in our society, I don't know about other cultures, but when you're an entrepreneur and you try something and it fails, people put you in a certain kind of shame, like you're a failure. I mean, you couldn't, so people are even struggling to start at all because they don't want to fail.
What will people see?
You've done things. I mean, apart from Bazal, you've art studios. I'm sure you've dabbled in, a few things. Can you share with me one such that didn't go the way you expected or it failed? And what lessons did you learn from it? Because that's the whole idea. Once you are learning something, it ceases to be the end of the road.
Yeah.
So can you share with us, one experience that Charlie, I didn't floppy basa, but what lessons did you learn from that failure?
Okay, so I wouldn't say it's it was a flop, a total flop, but it failed to grow. At the time when it was viable, it was good, but it failed to grow. So this was an educational institution that I set up when I was still a student. I was in level 200 in KNUST. And then I came across this institution in the UK called Institute of Commercial Management, ICM UK. And so what I did was I rented classrooms at the Kumasi Polytechnic and the Sunyani Polytechnic. And then I got lecturers from KNUST Business School, Kumasi Polytechnic Business School, who were lecturing workers. So it was a weekend school for workers, and then they'll come and learn various aspects of business, human resource, finance, customer service. And it was great because it was just 2 hours every Saturdays and Sundays, and it was very good for them. In your own free time, you can, So this business did really well for, should I say, 3 to 4 years. And it thrived because I was in charge of it, running it actively. But the mistake that I made with that business was I didn't put in place measures for the business to be able to move on its own in my absence.
Without
without me.
structure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So once I was called to the bar, the law career is demanding. I was a teaching assistant at that time. There was so much going on around that time. Once my focus shifted, the business started to go down. That was how it died. In fact, I think I woke up one day, I didn't even bother to think about that business again because I had other things I was moving on to. But had I had a succession plan in place, had I had the right structures in place, a right team in place, so it's not just me doing everything.
So I was going to take you back. If we put you in a time machine and it takes you back to when you had the idea to start the business, knowing what you know now, how would you have approached the business?
Okay, so
The
first
startup
of all,
and everything. What would you have done differently than how you did it? I mean, with all that you know now and the stress and the hassle and everything, what would you have done differently for that business to still be thriving?
Okay, so the first thing I would have done would have been to build a resilient team, a team that knows the ins and outs of the business, a team that's passionate about the business and willing to grow it. Secondly, I would have made sure I had a strategic plan, not just for like a year or two, so like a short, medium, and long-term plan in place, not just during the day-to-day activities. I would have had a plan in place and then make sure that the team can move with the plan even in my absence.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also, I think it would have boiled down to structures.
Yeah.
Having the structures in place so everything is automated. So when one person is away, things can still run smoothly.
Yeah. And Bazal shares this story in the book Beyond the Hustle. I mean, a lot more detail and all the things you could have done differently. And so it will help you to learn more and apply that to your business. You need to get that book, and you would get it in any store where they sell books. Online, you can put in our bio and we'll send it to you and so on. But Bazal, let me ask, one of the key challenges for most small businesses or startups is the issue of financial literacy. You are not an accountant, and it always seems very daunting. How do I ensure that I am making money, I am making profits? I always cite the example of my mother. She was your typical entrepreneur, informal, and she would have these orders and bake pies and cakes and so on. And then after, I would ask her, so how much profit did you make from this? And she would say, oh, there's some flour left, there's some oil left that we can use in the house. I mean, for her, that was her profit. I mean, whether she was making a lot, or it wasn't an issue. And it's a struggle for a lot of small businesses. How are you able to handle the financial, part
Aspect
of
of
your
it.
business and ensure that you are not making losses, even though there are customers coming in and going out? What do you do? How do you get around that?
Okay, so I don't know if you've heard this before, that for a lot of lawyers, accounting is a problem.
Oh, okay.
I remember when I was at the law school, legal accounting, God, it almost finished me. But and another mistake I made when I started the business was, this whole impression, you are a lawyer, you are learned, so you have the mentality that you know everything, but you don't.
Yeah.
So that was one thing I realized at the point where I tried to structure my business properly. That was one thing I decided, that I was going to have an accountant handle the financial affairs of the business. On my own, on a day-to-day, we make sure we record all expenses, all revenue, and then we have our accountants do our bookkeeping at the end of the month to be able to tell us where we are going, whether we are making a profit or whether we are making a loss.
Okay.
And then also certain little things that you wouldn't put a cost to, like how much does it cost us to get a client? When a client comes, aside the experience and everything, what kind of cost goes into it? Because we have little surprises, little souvenirs and gifts that we give to clients. You need to cost all these things. I'm in a business, I'm into photography. A good chunk of my photography is of children. I use a lot of props. Children break props. You can't stop them. They'll play with them. Some props will be old. Parents will say, we've seen this so much. So we buy a lot of props. We buy a lot of backdrops. So it's cost intensive. So we need to track everything on a daily basis, all our expenses, all our revenue. And then there are times when, as a business person, you don't have to get too excited with buying. Last year, for instance, I told myself that we are not buying any new props. My team was surprised. But at the end of the year, they were also surprised at how we were able to change around what we have, use them in different ways. So sometimes it's the discipline to cut down the cost. Because if you want to buy, once revenue is coming in, you keep buying. But once we made that conscious effort to cut down our expenses, we're able to. So these are some of the little things we do. Aside my accountant handling the difficult part for me, on my own, these are some of the little things that
some
I do.
entrepreneur may be watching us. What is the one advice that you will give them, for them to keep going, or to be able to run their businesses well, or to, keep their eyes on, focus on? What is the one or two? I mean, if one is too limiting, two things you would tell them to start doing or looking out for in their business?
Okay, I'll say there's nothing as fulfilling as starting something and seeing it work.
Yeah.
And there's nothing as depressing as starting something and not seeing it work. But you will never know until you try. So just look beyond what people will say. The fulfillment when it works is way greater.
Okay.
So I'll just encourage everyone, if you have something to try it today, because if you keep prolonging it, tomorrow will never come. And then another thing I learned recently, I'm in a business coaching class. And then I've learned a lot from there, and I've also done some training with the African Women Entrepreneurship Cooperative.
Okay.
And one lesson that I've learned from there is that doing good is good for your business.
Yeah.
So this is for the first point I made was for someone who is yet to start. But if you are someone who has started, always factor in not just the money, but sometimes just doing good, because it always brings returns to your business. Sometimes you may feel like, this thing I'm doing, I'm losing money. I could have charged this much or that much. But sometimes doing good brings you way more rewards in terms of finance. So doing good is good for your business.
Okay. One of the key things that most entrepreneurs cry around or about in this country is staffing and the team. How do you build trust with your team? Because, I mean, a lot of people are struggling.
I think even God himself, after he created us and gave us, he cannot trust us as human beings.
So how do you deal with that? How do you put structures
when
in
he's
place
not watching,
to ensure that you are getting the best out of them?
I think one thing that affects the culture at my workplace or in my business is my personality. So you need to show the team that works for you that you don't only care about what you are getting from them, but also you are interested in their own personal growth. That is one way of building trust. I have people who have stayed with me for over 5 years. Yes. And so that's one way of building trust. And then finding out what they are interested in and helping them to harness that potential. And then secondly, I've also learned not to put any particular team member in a position where they may have the impression that once they leave, the business comes to an end. So in as much as possible, we try to document every process. Every single member of the team knows that once the day starts, these are the steps that we are supposed to go through. So if someone calls in sick, we are quickly able to cover. So one, I show interest in their personal growth, and then two, I make sure that even though everybody's role is important, there's no one particular person who can bring the business to a standstill. All of us are helping the business to grow.
Okay. Every entrepreneur, I believe that every entrepreneur must be the chief marketer of the business. I mean, you have the vision. You started it. You have the passion. So you must be the chief marketer. I want to put you on the spot. 1 minute. Sell me one product from Bazal Art Studios. You can look straight in the camera. And I'm hoping that after this pitch, you will have people calling and sending messages. So think through it. Like 1 minute. Give me that pitch that will get people running to Bazal Art Studios.
Okay. I'd like to introduce you to a product called the Shades of Grey, Different Shades of Grey. We named this product Different Shades of Grey to symbolize the grey hair in the hairs of the elderly in our family. A lot of times with digitalization actively taking over our life, sometimes they may feel a bit lost. A lot of them don't know how to do social media, and then sometimes their family will come together to go and do a photo shoot, and we'll forget grandma and grandpa at home. But documenting family life should not end with just the little children or husband and wife and the kids. Our elderly family members need to be remembered. We need to preserve their memories. We need to celebrate them while they are still with us. And we've had elderly people come to our studio, and during the short time they stay with us, the amount of knowledge they impart, and you can see they are so relaxed, they appreciate the experience so much. And so I'd like to sell to you a Shades of Grey product. If you have a mother, a father, an in-law, a mentor, a parent figure in your life, this is the time to celebrate them. one day you'll be looking for pictures of them. Make sure you find them, and then make sure they are happy. Make sure they are relaxed. They are in an environment where they are celebrated, and that's at Bazal Art Studios.
I think this one deserves a clap. So if you're watching and Bazal sold you on this, please comment. Put it in the comment section. You know, you will get a discount if you tell them that you watched her on this show, Beyond the Hustle. So, you know, it's time to get that auntie of yours, that godmother, that pastor, that spiritual head, you know, that elderly person in your life to say, let me take you to Bazal Art Studios for a refreshing day. You will tell your story, they will have a conversation with you, and then you would have your pictures taken in a very nice environment. I'll be coming with some elderly people that okay, but before you go, what is the worst business advice anybody has given you? And hopefully you didn't take that advice.
Unfortunately, that advice will be from somebody who now is my number one cheerleader. One of my number one cheerleaders.
Okay.
So I remember back when I was a student and I started this business, as I said, during the time when the business was active, it did so well. And then I wanted to diversify. I wanted to go into property acquisition because I made that much money as a young girl who I didn't really need that much money. So I wanted to buy land or buy an apartment or something. And then at that time, I wasn't married or anything. And I was getting business advice from my mother, who's a very humble, very Catholic, She said, hey, we are both Adebiyi men, yes, sir. We are saying, you know.
The witches will come and chase you.
Yes. So looking back, sometimes she says, I think we should have done that investment then. But back then, I think she felt I was probably moving too fast because I had gotten myself a car. I was no longer really taking money from my parents and all that. So I wanted to go into it. So maybe if we had done that investment, could have become other business ventures, but we didn't. And as at that time, she was my business advisor. She said we shouldn't. So
so you didn't.
We didn't.
Okay. So before you go, finally, I want you to inspire an entrepreneur. Okay. I'm sure there are a lot of them who will be watching us. And from all intents and purposes, you are enjoying what you do. It's stressful, but it's also rewarding. And I'm sure giving us taking you back, you will still do this because you love it and you are going to scale and you are leading and all of that. Can you encourage one entrepreneur for me who is just about to say, I have had enough, let me go and get my job and you know, and be at peace? So
one thing I'll say is that, first of all, enjoy what you are doing. Don't do the business because you've seen somebody else excelling in it. That person may be enjoying it. People always ask me, how come I enjoy working with kids? A lot of the parents say, hey, I can never do this job. It's so much stressful. But I enjoy it. So that alone keeps me going. So find joy and find passion in what you are doing. Let it be something that you can boldly speak about so that on those dark days when you feel like giving up, the passion and the will to succeed will push
keep you going.
And
going. Before Bazal leaves, I mean, I have to issue this caveat. Bazal is my coaching client. I'm her business coach, and you know, we have our own heavy days and days that, you know, we laugh and, you know, but the joy is that her business will keep growing. So I just want to give you 5 seconds. How is the coaching support helping your business, and why would you encourage other entrepreneurs to look for business coaches?
To look for you in particular. Because joining your subscribing to your business coaching is one of the best decisions I've ever made for my business. The perspectives you open my mind to, even on days when I feel like I'm overwhelmed, the encouragement you give, the areas that you may not be in my field, which is photography, but your level of experience with other businesses, at the end of the day, you're looking for growth. the depth of knowledge you bring into my business is so appreciated, and I value it so much. It's changed a lot of things. Right now, we are on our toes. We are working, even though we are not working to your satisfaction. We are working, and the push you give us to grow, it's one of the best decisions. And then I'll encourage every entrepreneur, if you cannot find Dr. Boahemaa in Ntim, please look for another equally good. That's if they are equally good business coaches to guide you in your entrepreneurial journey. It makes a huge difference. You see things from a different perspective, and then your business will grow.
What do you do to relax?
I paint, or I sleep. I sleep a lot.
Welcome to the club. On this note, we bring another interesting episode of Beyond the Hustle to an end. And I'm sure you have learned something. I'm sure that you would share this with another entrepreneur. I'm sure that if you want to be on the show, you can leave us a review and come to me, and we would put you on the show. But subscribe. We are on all the socials. BT Hustle GH on all the socials. Follow us so that you don't miss any episode at all. Let's learn together. Let's grow together. We also have the Beyond the Hustle Masterclass, where I teach you the basics, simple language, real-time stories, theories underlying what you are doing in very simple language, so that you can also apply that to your business in context, because I am here, so I know the terrain, and so I share experiences that will help you. So join us on the masterclass as well, and let's learn together and grow together. And if you need any kind of photography service, there is nowhere else in Accra. I mean, Bazal Art Studios lead and everybody else follows. So everything family photography, you have to go to them. Bazal, thank you for coming.
Thank you so
I
much.
hope you
for
enjoyed
having
your
me.
time on the show.
I did.
And see you
See you soon.
in our coaching class.